Pierre DeYoung is on, Bob Hill, Peter Taylor, Ted Ryman in Cape Town, Peter Taylor, New York City, Christopher Gillingham in Leamington, not far from where our guest is, standing by in Southampton, Bill Wingrove. In Tampa, Florida, not quite the first Bill, but welcome, Ed Worley, Rob Sternstein. Happy Friday from a beautifully warm spring day in Boston, he says. Gordon Smith in Denmark, outside Copenhagen. David James on the north side of the bridge here in the Bay Area. Morris Stevens up in, Canada, Halifax, Nova Scotia. Bill Canfield is watching, presumably down in the U.S. Virgin Islands, but one never knows. Pierre DeYoung standing by, I think in California. Julia saying she's Sailing Illustrated, making those comments. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Let's get this one on the road. You know, I think we have to come up with something better than on the road. Let's get this one, something more nautical, something more yacht racing. Let's take the AP flag down, or we're not under postponement. Let's get the prep signal up, or the warning signal. Let's get the warning signal. That might be better.
The warning signal, yeah.
The warning signal. We'll ask our guest about that too, who's standing by. He's not only a yachting historian. He's standing by in Southampton, but he's also quite a good race officer and judge, and I'm not sure what all else, but we'll be with Dougal Henshall in a minute when he comes back. Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Eamon. If you're new here, please like, share, and subscribe. This is show number 506 for TFE Live, our twice weekly. It's really a video podcast. I guess we just have to get around to calling it a podcast. But say, go ahead.
It's a video cast.
Webcast. But man, are we blue. We've got blue behind me as usual. We've got you in all sorts of blue. We got our blue lower thirds, which I think I can get rid of. We are live again from Studio B here at the Beach Street Yacht Club. You are in blue. You got blue behind you.
Yeah.
What's on the table next to you, Julia?
Aha.
Are we going to get to that in a minute?
We are.
Okay. Let's launch, Alan Long is saying. Let's launch. Stingray likes that. Let's get underway. Let's cast off. Maybe cast off the dock lines. Maybe that's it.
Yes.
Chris Dewar, welcome back. Been a while. Glad to hear you from Hilton Head in South Carolina. Another beautiful day for Opti and Ilka, the laser practice at the South Carolina Yacht Club. Let's cast off. Gordon Smith likes that. Let's get this one away from the pier. Clark Chapin says. And we have docks in Michigan, at least at our little club. Let's shove off. Let's shove. Wingrove is saying. Whatever you want to say, Julia. Let's get this one on the road, shall we?
Yes.
Welcome, everybody. This is going to be a fun show, a special show. We're going to celebrate a couple days of note that this week that we didn't celebrate in the Tuesday show. Here during the pre-start, we now have the pre-start, we have the starting line, and then we have the finish line. We may have to have a reaching leg at some, instead of having a seventh inning stretch, Julie, we may have to have a reaching leg.
Yeah, all right.
And I'll reach over for your legs, maybe.
Woo, woo, woo.
Oh, God. Crutonicism is that. That is the Lake Champlain Yacht Club. I told you on Tuesday, Shelburne, Vermont. And I don't know if anybody from that club watches the show, but I like the picture and the race officer in the pre-start. Thanks to our friend Mark Dunphy, Kiwi Home Defense, who was with us on Tuesday's show. It shows out a lot of views. It's stirred up some things. That together with the television hit that I did, Magnus Wheatley did on TVNZ, which aired, I guess, Thursday night down there. Just a reminder, program note that see that picture? You probably don't know, except that she's an ice boater.
Yes.
She was on the show with us a few weeks ago with Blake Middleton. I'm pleased to report that Erin Burry from Minnesota, from USA, she will be with us live via Skype from Montana at the Hard Water Summit. They are all heading to Montana, and they will be conducting the first ever Hard Water Summit, where they're going to talk about ice boating, ice sailing, ice yachting, and they can't even agree what to call it.
I learned so much about it from her.
She was great, wasn't
she?
Well, she will be with us. on Tuesday. Hope you don't you tune
Look
in.
at
Don't
that.
miss that show. If you missed yesterday, of course, as you all know, it was St. Patty's Day. And we didn't really do our normal celebration, Julie. We saved it for today.
We did.
And before we do that, this is another Sharon Green. We used to use several of Sharon Green's photos, the Canadian turned American late great husband, her late great dad, Don Green, a terrific guy at Royal Canadian Yacht Club. And today is, let's celebrate before we get to what today is.
Yes.
Let's celebrate, Julia, whatever you've got there on that table. We look like a
Yes.
booze show, not a yacht race. So maybe yacht racing and boozing is the same. What are you preparing there?
Well, I'm preparing the traditional San Francisco Irish coffee.
Was that really invented here, or the guy stole it from a bar in Ireland and brought it here
That's true.
to the Buena Vista down,
Yeah,
just down the shore here?
But honorifically, I always try to have breakfast at the Buena Vista Cafe on
Please. Well, we missed that yesterday.
and we missed it
So what are you
yesterday.
fixing? What's the ingredients in a Irish coffee a la the Buena Vista Cafe here?
Right.
What is that you're pouring in?
Well, I'm just going to put a drop in. It's for wimps who like their coffee sweetened.
It's agave syrup?
Yeah, agave.
What do they use at the BV? They put tons of sugar, right?
Yes, two
A bunch of lumps of sugar.
two lumps of sugar.
So after the agave, and you're stirring that in, that's just black coffee, right?
That's just black
roasted
coffee.
just before we went live.
Correct.
Dougal was wondering why it was going to take me so long to go up and get you and bring you back down. It wasn't Julia, it was all these coffees that we had to prepare.
Yeah. All right. And then a nice liberal dollop of Jameson's.
Yeah, I'm going to put your camera on so you can show it right up here at your camera. Hold the bottle up there.
Irish whiskey.
Stout edition. We will be more croutonic than ever by the end of this show.
No, well, we're going to be.
Just a splash in mine, please.
Yes, just.
I won't be able to switch the show. Dougal will know that I'm a crouton. Oh, come on, more than that.
Well, you said just. You just said a splash. Okay.
Okay. And then what's the coup de grace? What's the final touch there?
Whipped cream. Real whipped cream.
That doesn't look like, is it real? It's Lucerne. Oh, it is real whipped cream. The word of the day is legs. Spread the word. Tom started it. Peter Stevenson. Peter, happy birthday. Fritz Mueller saying to you, Julia. A lot of happy birthdays on here. This Baton Rouge, this should be a new weekly segment, the drink of the show. Has Julia been raiding my bloody cellar again? Pindar's on. Andrew in Scarborough. Andrew, I spoke with Andrew this morning. He's getting over Corona.
Oh,
And
is he?
And Hamish Ross's dad, who's 80-something, maybe 90-something, he has. Is that for me?
Yeah.
Thank you. Hamish Ross's dad has it. One of Hamish's kids has it.
Uh-oh.
I texted with Alessandra.
Here's the Beach Street Yacht Club.
Oh, thank you. Alessandra Ponderese. And for those of you who don't know, the Beach Street Yacht Club Burgee, which was designed by Meg, is the same as you can claim, those of you know, the St. Francis Burgee. It's the same as the St. Francis Burgee, but the stars have been replaced with a guitar and a red wine glass. Okay, Julia, so we're celebrating a day late, but we're really celebrating your birthday with a
Yes.
Irish coffee. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I'm going to have have a little Hitler mustache, only in white.
Yeah, I've always celebrated it on the 17th because everybody's partying anyway.
The 17th, you mean on the 18th?
No, on the 17th because everybody's partying with St. Patty's Day. So I don't have to pretend to have a party because everybody's already in a party.
Oh, is that good? Cheers. Dear DeYoung is saying, that looks like a well-poured Guinness. Now it's Irish coffee. Now, Julia, the flowers in front of you
Yes.
are from a Fosey.
And,
One of the Fosey. I don't know if she is on here.
oh,
Did you raid that did you get that Jameson from Pindar's cellar?
I
over in
did
England?
not. But I'd be willing to look.
Well, we may have to have him
Yes.
prepare the next drink round for us on a future show. We get back to his cell. That was one of our more. Where's my cough switch? I have one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I do have one, Clark. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
A little of that got into my windpipe. So nice flowers, Julia. from a Fozy who sent them to you.
Thank you, Fozy, whoever you are.
And I'll see if she or he wants to identify him or herself during the show today.
Okay.
But as we go back to the slides, that is a famously cool shot.
It is.
Sharon Green's of course, America. In fact, these mugs are America One mugs, aren't they?
Yes.
So that was appropriate. America One was St. Francis Yacht Club's America's Cup Syndicate 2000, the last great kind of club family syndicate, right?
Right. And it was.
You and your late husband were big contributors. I was with K-Art and the late great Bob Billingham. Ken Saban, I wish you a happy birthday yesterday, Julia. But again, it's today, Ken.
Yes. Yeah.
Ooh, that's good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now your flower girl is on.
Oh yes.
Yes, that was my beloved mother, Janice F. Davis.
Oh, how nice.
Who sent those flowers.
Thank you.
And the truth is, she didn't send them. She said, it'll cost too much if I send them. Here, why don't you go down and buy some?
Yes.
On Chestnut Street, and then I'll
claim them.
Well, I will reimburse you. So we don't have to reimburse me, but that was nice.
Yes.
On her?
How nice. Jan Dav, thank you.
Jan Dav is her nickname is, but that's a great shot of America. America One, and those famously explosive green kites. That's the first of the two boats, USA 49. And today is World Sleep Day.
That I knew.
You did?
Mm-hmm.
I had never heard of World Sleep Day.
Neither had I.
I hope I never hear it again. Yeah, the Beach Street Pub, Ryman is saying. World Sleep Day, the Friday before the Northern Hemisphere vernal equinox. So it's always this Friday. I didn't realize the vernal. What day of next week is the vernal? Is our spring equinox?
It's at 2200 on Sunday, I think.
This coming Sunday, 18, 19, 20. So it's the 20th. Well, it's of course the autumnal equinox down, and that's why I just called it the March equinox. It's an annual event organized by the World Sleep Day Committee. Bloody hell. Of the World Sleep Society, formerly, get this, the World Association of Sleep Medicine, WASM.
WASM.
Sounds like orgasm, only WASM. You can shake your finger if you want. It's your birthday. The goal is to celebrate the benefits of good and healthy sleep, and to draw society's attention to the burden of sleep problems and their medical, educational, and social aspects, and to promote the prevention and management of sleep disorders, all of which I'm sure we suffer at one time or another. Pedro, foiling sailor down in Sydney. Okay, I cannot tell a lie. It was me. He said, oh, it wasn't my mother. It was Peter Stevenson, a.k.a. Pedro Foiling Sailor. Ken Saban was usually working on his thistle, listening to the show. And Baton Rouge is on as well. Everybody wishing Julia a happy birthday. Everybody, we'd like to wish you all a World Happy Sleep Day. But as you know, it is Julia's birthday. I don't even know how old she is. I do know. We're going to take her to dinner tonight. She'll probably tell us. But it's none of our business. And Julia, two things. While I was down on Chestnut Street yesterday.
Birthday cake.
I don't know if you can see this on camera too here. But I got to light it first.
Okay.
It's hardly a birthday cake, but it's a birthday cupcake. It was about the only thing I thought we could handle here in the studio.
Yeah.
And we can't celebrate a birthday. And I watched this guy make this cupcake down at Susie Cakes down on.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Oh,
and you turn it 90 or turn 180 degrees, and the guy has better handwriting with a frosting. It's probably like Mark Husted.
Oh, yeah.
Look at all the thumbs and hearts and everything.
Yeah.
He's got better handwriting with that pastry, that thing that he squeezes and in cursive writes out "Happy Birthday, Julia." I don't know if you can tip that up a bit. Maybe on camera 3 they can see that.
Yes.
There you go. Lift it up and tip it towards your camera above it. Yeah. Okay. You can sort of see it.
Yeah.
So I swear to God, he writes better. I said so, and I gave him a little tip because he did such a beautiful job.
Yeah, he did.
Sort of mushed out now. Yeah. Happy birthday, Julia! And there's a 12-string guitar there behind Dougal at his place, but we can't have There he is. There it is over his left shoulder.
Yeah.
And we can't do this without on the banjo uke. Happy birthday to you. It's too high.
Yeah.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I better bring it back to camera 2 here. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Julia. Happy birthday to you. Amen. You can blow that out.
Here's to all the Fosey.
All the Fosey. Greg Phillips.
Yeah.
Greg, I got a note from Greg. Happy birthday, Julia.
Thank you.
Nice, Greg Phillips. How much not to play the banjo?
No.
Well, you know, we used that joke before. The definition of a gentleman is someone who knows how to play the banjo but does not. That's a banjo uke, actually. That was easier than bringing the guitar in here. And it's actually a nice little, not too expensive instrument for traveling around. And if it gets crushed in an airplane overhead, it's not all that bad. Julia.
Sir. Thank you, guys.
Cheers and happy birthday.
Thank you.
Dougal's being a good sport. I told him we'd have a bit of a pre-show. I didn't know it would go on for 16 minutes and 27 seconds. Okay, Bill Haynes. Stingray, clap, clap, clap. Thanks, everybody. John Emmett, really sorry got to run, but I just wanted to tune in to wish Julia a very happy birthday. See you all in the replay.
Terrific.
M. Sweeney, and on and on. Let's carry on here with the show, because we do have, as I said, we've got Dougal Henshall on live via Skype from Southampton in the UK. He's going to talk about his new book, The Fabulous, it's not called The Fabulous 505, but he's written a book. In fact, he's written a book about several different classes, not just the 505 class. He'll tell us all about that in a minute. But we are now at the starting line, and one more item is, of course, we like to start the show these days with John Emmett's report, speaking of John. And it's a good one, another good one, but Gillette did not sponsor this.
Hi Tom, Julia and all the Fosey. This is show 506, so obviously we're talking about the 505. Now, all joking aside, the 505 is a wonderful boat, and I do regret I couldn't really get hold of any footage because I don't have that much involvement in the class, although I do have some very good friends who sail the class, people who've come through Olympic classes like 49er and the Laser Radial, which is now the Laser 6, and they're now sailing the 50, because it's just great performance over a huge wind range. And it was probably one of my favourite restart sailing shows when I was chatting with the 505, so I really enjoyed that. That was a good friend of mine, Penny, who's now Penny Clark. She sails a 505 with her husband, and we had a lot of overlap with our coaching during the previous Olympic cycle when she was coaching the British Radial, as it was then, and I was coaching Finland. So yeah, I think it's good when the coaches are also involved in sailing campaigns themselves, and it keeps you keeps the empathy there. So yeah, the Ides of March, we're now really moving into the start of the sailing season, and I spent most of this week packing. It's interesting to think that I still haven't completely unpacked the stuff from the Olympic Games, because I have the memorabilia, like the daily forecasts, which were produced by an incredibly good Met officer from our team. I have the little test tubes for the saliva. I have all these things. I wasn't randomly doing saliva tests, that was for the PCR test. All these things left over from the games, and just not quite sure what to do. And this time of year for us, it's often pretty wet and windy, so I took the first opportunity on a dry day to do my spring cleaning. I would encourage anyone to do the same. In fact, I probably have to thank my sailor, Ibru, a lot, because she helped me a lot. I get the feeling she's probably better at being tidy than I am, as are perhaps most people. I'm more of a big picture guy, and the detail sometimes escapes me. So I hope you enjoy the video. Coincidentally, it's on a new phone, because I think that's one of the things that I use the most as a coach, so I think it's worth me spending the money on. You'll see I do probably on average a video every week now for YouTube, so I decided I wanted to do that. So for those people who are having problems working out whether I was shaved or not, it should probably be pretty clear now. But have a wonderful show, and I say, you know, I can't recommend the 505 enough. The last big multi-class regatta I did was the Tiger Trophy, and we ended up with a pursuit race, and the winning 505 passed me with about 15 minutes to spare. I was jealous. Okay, have a great show.
Look at his car. It looks like he's getting ready to, he's packing up, indeed.
Yeah.
The P&O ferries are all in some kind of a problem over there, I read it.
Are they?
Yeah, they've laid off a bunch of people. They lost a lot of money. I don't know if you're going to be able to get around in the UK after this, but who knows? One never knows, Julie. Any other comments we need to look at? Graham Sweeney, look at his beard. It has a pet. Has a pet. Ooh la la. Any other? The 50 Worlds. We're going to talk about that coming to Santa Cruz down in down south of us, down in the peninsula. Julie Ahrens, thank you for your kind comments for Julia. Julia, shall we move ahead?
Yes, indeed.
Anything else? Are we done celebrating? You're not going to eat some of that cupcake?
Oh, I'll have a ceremonial bite.
You
Why
better.
not?
No, that was your favorite. When I told him you wanted vanilla frosting. Actually, look at it's blue. I had them put blue frosting and blue, kind of Sailing Illustrated blue, on a chocolate. Oh God! Only on this show. Is it okay? Susie Cakes next to the Apple Store down on.
Yeah. I've never bought anything in there because I don't. I have a friend who doesn't let me eat sugar.
Well, you shouldn't. Bad for you. Okay, thank you, John Emmett. Great report, as always. We appreciate very much John doing it. But let's get to Dougal, who's standing patiently by in Southampton in the UK. Dougal, welcome. First time ever on the show, but I'm sure it's not the last time.
Good evening, Tom. Good evening, Julia.
We're looking forward to your updating us on your new book and everything that's cool about the 505 class. We tried to do this show with the show number 505. This, of course, is show number 506. But the reason not because we couldn't do it in 505 on Tuesday was because we had Mark Dunphy on, and that was the only day he could do it, give or take a week. So we put him on, and Dougal kindly agreed to let it slip to this Friday. But you're doing something special for the class every Friday anyway, right? The 505 class?
Yes, Tom. Every Friday they get a Fab Friday Photo, which is a picture of somebody or in a 50 or a 50 personality doing something. A lot of the time they're just flying along like a 50 does. But I've been doing this for about 4 years now, and it's great because it connects people to the class, especially in the cold winter months, and it also gets people to thinking, yes, I've got a picture to send, and the pictures I've got have been sent in from all over the world, 505 sailors all over the world.
Well, I've seen them. I've been following them since, and thanks also to Karen Robertson for teeing us up, for putting us together. And you must know Karen from the OK Dinghy class, I guess.
Yeah, I was their race officer for their championships a while back. But I just wanted to chop in one moment there, Tom and Julia, because you're talking about Irish coffee. And some of your fellow countrymen, they came to the Worlds in Cork in 1981, and they thought an Irish coffee was just a coffee made in Ireland, without realising that. And they learnt that they realised their mistake later on in the day.
After they'd had two or three, right?
Happen again later this year when we go back to Cork for the World Championships.
Oh, good.
Cork, Ireland. Fritz Mueller is on.
The Worlds are this August.
Fritz Mueller is on, saying 505, one of the best dinghies I've ever had the chance to sail. Tremendous boat for sure. Yes, indeed. I would echo that as well. And let's go back now to your book, Dougal, because your formal name is David, but everyone knows you by Dougal. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think we'll move on from that one subject. Let's talk about the book.
Okay. Well, the book is called simply The Best, The Story of the 505 by Dougal. You've written a couple other books, right?
Yeah, I'm lucky, Tom. I've had three great loves in my life. The Merlin Rocket, the Contender, and the 50. And none of them have divorced me, so I'm repaying them all. I've done a book for each of them, and this is the last one of the trilogy.
And you won't do anything more after this?
You should never say never, but this has been a huge labour of love because you're not writing about the 505 in the US or in France or in the UK. It's got to be the 505 everywhere around the world.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
And people don't realise that back in the day, the 50 was big in South America.
Mm.
You had big fleets in Mexico and Argentina.
Mm-hmm.
It was big in the nations in South Africa and in Japan, Hong Kong, you name it. And so it's been a 6-year labour of love, this book has been.
Where are the biggest concentrations now, besides obviously here in the U.S., actually here in the Bay Area? Where else are the big 505 fleets these days?
Mainly Germany. I mean, Germany's the powerhouse.
Really?
Now. Not only are they the powerhouse now, but they're going to be the powerhouse in the future because they've got the most incredibly forward-looking youth team. They've got ways of getting young people into the boat. They've got ways of getting ladies into the boat. And it's, they are going to be the powerhouse in the class going forward.
Well, it's interesting you say that because, as you know, when we did the tech check, I had pulled a video off of YouTube that I thought was the best video, one of the best class racing videos I'd seen. And I said, Dougal, is it okay if I play this? And it's from Germany. In fact, it's in German, but it's got English subtext, captions. And we'll play that in due course. But before we leave that, when does your book come out? You're going to, I guess, introduce it at the Worlds at Cork. And how does one buy it? What's it going to be? How does one get it? Okay, I mean, the thing about Cork, for people who don't know, Cork is right in the very southern tip of Ireland. The 50s have been there several times already. Each time they've been to Cork, they've had the most amazing World Championship with huge winds, great big seas, a real challenge for the top sailors. But Cork is also the world's oldest yacht club. 300 years, 301 years, right?
301 years, yep. And I think it's important, Tom, that it's that great historical connection. You've got the world's oldest yacht club and you've got the world's most successful dinghy for the last 70 years coming together to make a championship. Where else would you want to launch a book?
Cool. Mm-hmm. And how do we get a copy? If we want to buy one, will it be on Amazon? Do we buy it from you or the class, or?
It'll be Amazon in the end. I mean, I'll take some will be delivered to Cork, and then some will go out to the national authorities, the national associations. So I hope the Americans will take a pallet of books back in the container with their boats. But there's going to be a problem, Tom, because the book is currently running at 211,000 words. It's going to weigh 3 kilos. It's going to be like a breeze block.
This is going to be like one of our late great mutual friend, Bob Fisher, one of the Fisher's America's Cup tomes.
Yeah.
Yes, you've got it.
So you sailed again. I mean, I told you in the tech check I'd sailed against Bob in the Fireball class. You sailed Fireball. It sounds like you've sailed just about every class. What other classes besides the 50, the Merlin, the Fireball have you sailed?
Oh, Hornets with Bob Fisher. I'm lucky because I get a chance to sail most things, from the oldest boats, like the British Moths that are celebrating their 90th this year, to the most modern. I've been doing a lot of sailing in a boat called a Hadron and an H2, which is like a single-handed Merlin rocket. And I get to sail all these and multi-hulls and a little bit of offshore, a little bit of quarter tunning. So it's great being based on the Solent because you can always find something to sail.
Matthias Collins, who's a Fozy down in Argentina. What a pity there is none that I know of around now in South America. All were wood, ? Then I assume we consumed them. Jay Rendell, who's up in Minnesota, is writing a book about the 140 years of boat builders at White Bear Lake outside of Minneapolis in that great sailing area. So that is really, really cool. Let's go to your slides.
Oh, just one moment.
Please.
Hola, Matthias, in Argentina. Let me tell you that Larry Marks's World Championship winning boat that he won the Worlds in at River Plate is still there. It's been restored and it's still sailing on the River Plate.
Nice.
2626.
See, this is what classes need. They need spark. We say this all the
Right.
time. Classes need a spark plug. It needs somebody who knows the class, knows the boat, knows the people, knows the history, knows the future, and is a media person, as obviously Dougal is. I mean, this was the easiest show to set up. He says, I can do Skype, I can do Zoom, I'll send you. And he sent me the slides that we're about to look at now in PowerPoint, which I can stick into the keynote, and I don't have to do a lot of futzing around. And thank you. They were all 16:9. They were all full screen.
Wow.
I mean, Julia, this was very impressive.
Yeah, you earn a medal.
Yeah, this may be the best technical guest we've ever
I haven't
had.
screwed up yet. Give me time.
No. Tell us about these slides. Who is this?
Right, okay. Now, this is back at the very beginning. And the two guys here, this is important because a lot of people don't realize that if you want the real back, where the 505 came from, it came from the guy on the left there. Now, his name's Max Johnson. And during the wartime years, he came out to the US. And he was introduced to this magic new material called fiberglass. And he became like a prophet for glass fiber construction. And when he came back to the UK after the war, and he tried to get people interested in making a glass fiber sailing dinghy, and he didn't really get any great takers. But he was friends with the guy on the right, and that's an amazing, innovative sailor called John Westall. They were both 14 sailors. And when the IYRU were looking for a performance dinghy, and this is the first time we hear the term performance dinghy, in the end, it was Max Johnson's money that funded John to go out and design a boat that would be good for making in glass fiber.
Cool stuff. Mark Husted, who's got to run, he's a pastry chef. He gets up early in the morning. So it's 21:30 in Sweden. He's in Göteborg. He's saying that Sweden 505 is good. Kyle Langford, America's Cup sailor, and among other things, great sailor from Oz. Keith Swindon raced and won a local race, and an Australian national champ, Peter Nicholas, has moved his 505 here in Göteborg in Gothenburg, which has become a massive sailing center for reasons that are not clear. It must be the beautiful Swedish women.
Yes.
I'm seriously, that's that is seriously part of it, is that a lot of these guys have Swedish girlfriends, so they're moving to Göteborg and Gothenburg.
Well, Tom, Gothenburg or Göteborg is also the hometown for an incredible guy called Krista Bergstrom. And Krista's won 5 worlds in the 505. He's won it all. And he's still got his 505 down in his basement. But, there's some guys from the Swedish fleet who are just incredible. In fact, a picture later on that we're going to look at shows 2 guys who were really race running back in the late 70s, early 80s, and they're still up there now. So they've got some incredible sailors. They don't have the great numbers, but it's a great place for 5.0 sailing, as is Denmark.
It's a great place for sailing in general. All the my mother hates it. She's Norwegian. When we, and hence I'm part Norwegian, when I call them Scandinavians, but Scandinavia is a fabulous part of it. You like that? You like that, Julia? But I can say that as being at least a quarter Norwegian, maybe closer to half. Fritz Mueller says Westall, who's the designer of the 5.0, ultimately, we're going to talk about him, and his birthday would have been last week, I guess. And Husted is saying it's not the women, it's the sailing that attracts everybody to Sweden.
That's
Okay,
what
well,
they all say.
that-
Yeah.
say
Right,
that
shall we
again.
move on to the next slide, John?
Yeah, well,
Yes, sir.
are we dragging it? Maybe it's the Irish coffee. I was just thinking, Julia, that Irish coffee has hit me pretty well here. If I'm gas bagging more than usual. Okay, let's go to the next slide. What's the coronet?
It is the Coronet. So what we have here, we've got a situation where Westall's asked to design a boat, and he breaks all the rules. Up until now, the competitive boat sailing was dominated by Arthur Fox, who had boats that were very full forward, very deep chested, and a narrow pulled in transom. And as you can see from this great Keith Callahan graphic, Westall just threw the rule book out and he came up with a boat. But this is a big boat. This is nearly as big as a Flying Dutchman. But what you've got quite a narrow hull. But what he's done is he's put like an oversized deck on it. So you've just got a lip. The gunnel sticks out from the hull. So it's no great shape to it, but it was radical in its own way. And it was very, very quick. So if you want to move on to the next one, Tom.
I like this. He's got us working hard here, Julia.
That's good.
So, okay. So here we are. This is Coronet out afloat. And Westall was a great innovator. And you've got a lot that's going on here. Now, if you start at the bow and work back, because like counting from 1 to 5, Tom, sailors do it differently, you can see you've actually got a second takeoff there on the foredeck. So what you had a situation where you could have a big genoa for going down downwind, and then you could move your finger forward, keep going forward, keep going.
Oh, you're talking about this?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. You say take off the tack point.
Yeah, but when you wanted to go upwind, you had a lever under the foredeck that moved that you could actually then, like a yacht, you could put a second headsail up, drop the genoa and go upwind just under a jib. And the other thing there, you've got a rotating wing mast. And the final thing there, you've got what Westall called his speed boom, and you've got like a lens foot hidden inside a plank boom, because obviously the spars were wood in those days. Now, it's a couple of interesting points here. Westall originally designed the boat to have a sliding seat for the helmsman, not a trapeze. But then he realised that the trapeze was a much better option. So, I mean, Westall came up with Coronet. Like I say, it's a boat almost as big as the FD.
So 19 feet, give or take?
Yeah, it's 18 foot. And they went down to the trials in La Balle. And this is an Austin Farrer picture taken down La Balle. And what you've got here is you've got the cream of early post-war yachtsmen here. The boat that flipped over onto port is the prototype Osprey, a big UK domestic class. You've got a Merlin there, you've got the prototype Flying Dutchman, and the boat in the foreground with the number 1 on the sail is Coronet. And it was a great boat, and they had some bizarre ways of working out who was winning, but at the trials, the Flying Dutchman was the quickest boat, but Coronet won the trials.
Because they were using the equivalent of Portsmouth numbers or something like that.
No,
They weren't?
It was level rating, Tom.
Oh, they
but,
weren't.
What the races were, your position was calculated by the cumulative difference in time between you and the next boat added up over all the races.
Amazing.
Well, that's okay.
Yeah.
That's the way we used to run college hockey in this country too. Strange.
Yeah.
2 games, and you added the score totals from the 2 games together. Strange.
So
tell us again.
yeah,
This is like we used to do this in the U.S. We used to have a thing called it was Yachting Magazine sponsored a thing called the One of a Kind Regatta. They brought together boats of all different ilk, the more or less dinghies under say 20 feet, and they'd race, and they had some kind of we use Portsmouth numbers, I guess, some kind of a handicap thing, and who won boat for boat, fine, but then who won under handicap, and what was the relative performances in light air, what was the relative performance in breezier conditions, and it was pretty cool stuff. Not that it ever proved anything, but it was fun to do.
It was slightly different because the IYRU had a requirement. They wanted their own performance boat because they thought if they sponsored a boat, it would stop the proliferation of new classes. And they went to Uffa Fox, who came up with a hard chine boxy boat, and it wasn't very successful. Jack Knight, your friend Bob Fisher's friend,
Jack Knight's, I remember Jack Knight's.
Yeah, he said it was like asking a pacifist to design a rifle. And to say it was a dog would be an understatement.
He was a wonderful writer too, Jack Knight.
He was. So then they decided, okay, we'll have a set of trials, because the Flying Dutchman was going to be adopted, but only for European inland lakes.
Really?
Yes. Yeah,
this is the FD here.
That's the FD.
That's
there.
a Merlin. What is this?
That's a Merlin.
That's a Merlin. What is this?
That's an Osprey.
An Osprey. What else is there a 14 in there or anything else?
There's a 14 in there. Most of the boats, you've got a lot of, and we'll get to that in the next slide in a tick, if I may. What's interesting? Oh, can we go back one, please, Tom? The one in between, the one at the start. Right, the bow, the dark coloured bow that you see there in the just behind the jib or genoa of that's the one. That's actually Charles Curry sailing a modified 14 with a bigger rig and a trapeze, and he went very quickly as well. The other boat that was in there was the Hornet. That went very well. Hornet and Jolly Boat, Uffa Fox Jolly Boat. They're in there.
I remember the Jolly. Yep.
Yeah, but the standout boat was the Coronet. Now, Flying Dutchman got International Statesman. Yep. Now, next slide.
Yeah, it's sort of like the fight between the Fireball and the 470 for Olympic berth.
Well, we can get to that in a minute. Now, what you got here, the guy in the red trousers leaning on the deck, that's Sir Peter Scott. He was head of the IYU.
He was president,
and he's
right?
leaning on the deck of Coronet, and you can see that exaggerated gunnel that I was telling you about. But the reason he's there, the boat on here, the second boat there with the big wedge sticking out the side, and that's a Canneton, a French Canneton, and they were looking for a new hull shape. And they wanted the Hornet, and Jack Holt said no, and they wanted Osprey, and Ian Proctor said no. And the IYU, through Peter Scott, are making an offer to John Westall that Coronet could have international status if they changed the name. They didn't like Coronet. They said it was Triumphlist, and they wanted they had to sell 100 boats. And then the French said, will you make a 505 to the dimensions, approximate dimensions of the Canneton? And that's what John Westall agreed to do. Now here we are. So he's cut the bow off Coronet, he's cut the stern off Coronet, but so much more. And once again, thanks to Keith Callahan for these graphics. But if you see, you've now got a boat that's very flat. You've got a radical hull shape for a 1950s boat. Look at that great big flat planing area. And the other thing is, instead of the deck just being plonked on top, John has curved the hull out so that there's a constant curve from the top sides up to the gunnel. So you've got a very beautiful looking boat. And in these days before self-drainers and transom flaps, this is also a boat that's going to be very dry when it's sailed. And the only thing that's a bit sad is I don't think they realised what an icon they were creating at the time, because they didn't take many pictures. but we're lucky to have these graphics because that shows you exactly what is so special about the 505. It's the hull shape, radically different to everything in the 1950s.
Well, and radically different to most dinghies today, even.
Indeed. Well, it's never been bettered.
I mean, you can look at the Taser that Ian Bruce designed and a couple other things like that, but let's carry on here because there's really some interesting pictures that you sent us. What's this?
Right. So Westall has drawn up these lines, and there was a great boat builder on the Hamble River called Jack Chippendale, and John had drawn the lines of the hull, but he couldn't work out how to do the interior. So in fact, Jack Chippendale had made the prototype Osprey and a load of the other prototypes at that time. So John Westall took him the lines for the hull and said, well, will you cold mold the hull? And I'll work on the plans for the interior. And he drove back down from his home in Essex, he drove back down for another meeting with Jack Chippendale and said, I've sketched out some ideas. And Jack Chippendale said, you better go and look outside. And his men, his workforce, had realised that within the confines of the hull, there was only one way to put a layout. And they'd actually finished the boat for him before the plans. And that's a fantastic. So this is the world's first ever 505.
Gordon Smith in Denmark who's a Brit, but he's living in Denmark, and he's more Danish, I think, these days than he is British even. But great example of a designer making the most of a new material.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, I mean, the prototype and the first boats were first of all made in wood, and here it is. And there's John Westall giving us a wave. But the guy who's sailing the boat is Charles Curry, because already Fairy Marine, who make the Fireflies and so many other boats, they were hot moulding hulls, and they had already agreed that they would take on the hot moulding of the wooden hulls that would help push the class forward from an early day. And they sent some out to France. The French made their first 5.0s in the old Dornier factory in Paris, and then they were the first ones actually to start making them out of glass fiber.
Pedro Foiling Sailor's real name is Peter Stevenson, is a Fosse. He's been on the show any number of times, and he's down in Sydney. He says, I remember in the 1990s, Ian Murray, one of the greatest sailors in the modern history of our beloved sport, had a 505 made of a full carbon fiber to sail in a Darwin regatta made by Paul Kulmar.
Yes. Now, there's a little bit here because the first dinghy ever made with carbon fiber was the 505. And it was an experimental job that was made by Parkers in the UK in conjunction with Courtaulds, who were the leaders in making carbon fiber thread. And the very first boat ever to have carbon fiber stiffening was the 505.
You know, we had, looking at this very original, what is this, mid-50s?
Yeah, this would be 1954-55.
I grew up in Michigan, and after the war, there was there were some of the glass fiber companies that had been, one in particular, Illinois owns Corning, who were making landing craft, trying to make landing craft for the military at the end of World War II, and then the war ended and they didn't know what to do with their technology. And there was a company in Toledo, Ohio, who built, it was a dinghy, it was a 16-foot boat called the Rebel. It's still around. Thousands of them have been built. But this boat, because they didn't really understand fiberglass, or glass fiber as you call it in the UK, it was molded, and this is before chopper guns, they hand lay up and put this stuff in there, and the boat weighed 700 pounds. It was a 16-foot boat. You know, what's the 5.0 is 5 meters.
Yeah.
So it's 16, give or take, right? Feet. And what's a 5.0 weigh? What's the hull shell weigh of a 5.0?
Well, you could make it very light now in carbon, but you're looking at 90 kilos.
But is the class minimum weight?
90 kilos
Yeah,
or something.
it
About,
gave order of
it's in
magnitude.
it's in that area. It's in the 90 kilo range.
And 700 pounds, 2.54 pounds per kilogram. That's, order of magnitude 300 plus pounds.
Right.
So, unbelievable.
That's nearly as heavy as a fin.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and this boat was the same. Well, the fin was also originally heavy. What a boat! That's a hard boat to sail. So this is the original 5.0.
This is the original 5.0.
Gramps.
That's Charles Curry. He was a silver medalist at Helsinki in the fin, 1952, and that's John Westall. But if you look, John's wearing a trapeze harness that's just really underneath his armpits.
So this boat had a trapeze for the crew.
This had a trapeze, yes.
So you can see it here, I guess.
Yeah, that's his harness. Yeah.
This is fun. Steve Atkins said, 1954, I was in diapers. My beloved mother, Janice Davis. Darn, I should have been an Aussie. My mother's won a national championship in that class I just told you about, the Rebel class, in 64, mid-60s. Replying to Fritz Mueller, Mark Husted, saying, history lesson I'm learning, never understood why a mate of mine loves it. Now I'm getting it. And lots of other comments from Andrew Pindar, back and forth, hundreds of comments, or over 100 comments already. 90 kg is only 198 pounds. Clark Chapin, who's an engineer, a former automotive engineer in Detroit, in Detroit. Fabulous stuff. Now, this is obviously an early class racing photo.
This is the first time, as soon as the class was launched, it was very much Anglo-French. So that first summer, they went to a place called Ouistreham, which is on the French coast, and they had a competition, the English versus the French. It was a bit of a problem because in those days, the customs were very strict. The prizes were bottles of Benedictine, the local liqueur, and they had to smuggle the Benedictine back hidden in the boat. But the return fixture was Hearing Cows, so this is on the Solent, so this is just off Cows. And if you look, the second place boat there has got a US sail number.
Oh,
because,
yeah.
What happened was that having got the boat launched, Max Johnson, who had spent his wartime years over in the US, to say thank you, he sent a couple of hulls over to the US, which is really how come the class got started over there. And although they weren't able to bring their boats over, some of your guys came over, they bought their own sails, and they were very, very quick right from there. So this is now 1955. Their sails were already better than ours.
Just like 1851.
Yeah, but they didn't cheat this time.
We had, on the Yacht America, we had an English navigator who said, no, I've read the sailing instructions, you don't have to honor the NAB light. Come on, they didn't cheat. They just had better sails.
Yeah,
okay. The gal that put us up to you, or teed us up, and I thank her again, I'm not sure she was on at the top of the show, Karen Robertson, who's said, I can feel another 5.0 coming on. Mm-hmm. God, I had fun. I didn't sail a 5.0 a lot, but I sure had fun sailing it as a kid. And let's go to some more photos from back in the day, although now we're going to come forward quite a few years.
This is 1955.
Yeah, this one, hang on. That's 55?
Right, and this is 1955.
And what is this?
Right, well, you've got to ask yourself, why is the 5.0 such a dominant class? And here's reason number one. This is a test event they sailed. This is just before COVID, and it's down in Spain, and it's not quite blowing dogs off chains, but it's pretty damn windy, and they're not just sailing around; they're having good close racing. Now, the key thing here, the leading boat there, that's John Emmett's friend, because that's Russell Clark out on the wire, and that's Penny Clark helming. She went on to win this event. So, number one, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're a good sailor, whatever gender you might be, you're going to be up there with the good guys. It's all about talent, and it's a very talent-driven boat. But it's a fantastic boat. A really breezy day when the skiffs are going to be starting to struggle, and the 505s just think that, does it get any better than this? You've got wind, you've got waves, and look at those boats storming off downwind.
Beautiful.
So that's the first thing
Okay.
that makes the 50 so good.
Yeah, well, go ahead and tell us the next thing, and then I want to ask you a question.
Right. Well, the next thing's in the next picture.
Now we're going to do this video.
Right.
I just go ahead and I want to ask you a question though before we play this video, which I found on YouTube. Why is it that we have gone to classes now in the Olympics? Why have we gone to classes that can't even race during the not the usual, but what can be the normal wind range? I mean, we should be sailing in boats in the Olympics, as we do at our home clubs, in boats that are capable of racing from 5 to, tell me what, maybe not 35, but 3 to 30 or 5 to 6 to what's wrong with our sport?
Okay. Can you skip over? We'll go back to your video. Can you, because you put it in one slot too soon.
I can do whatever you want.
Right. Can you skip on to the next slide after the? Right. So here you are. So now you've got it. Now I think we all agree this is seriously windy.
Yep.
Right. And
that's guys, dogs off chains. That's oysters off rocks. Right.
And these are the two guys I tell you about. These two guys, they're Swedes. This is in Sweden. This is Ollie Wenrup and Ebby Rosen. And they have been around for 40 years plus. They've been winning races for 45 years plus at World Championship level. But here you are. This is the sort of weather, like, as you were saying, Tom, about the Olympics, where the Olympic fleets would be running for home. Now skip on to the next slide.
Okay.
Yet the beauty of the 50, you get a day like this where there's scarcely enough breeze to blow the froth off your Irish coffee, and the 505 is still a great boat to sail. I've got to say, I love this picture as well. This is a Warwick Ham picture from South Africa, but it shows this is how good the 50 right across the wind spectrum. It's just a fantastic boat. Now you can ask your question.
So why don't we have boats like this, like the Finn, like the 470 even, that are racing in the Olympics? Neil Collingridge is tongue-in-cheek making fun of me. What boat should we sail in the Olympics? Tom Eamon, make yourself comfortable. We could be here all night.
You could have the 50, or be really controversial here. You could go back and have the Flying Dutchman. What a fantastic boat that was for Olympic sailing.
Yeah.
And
you know why it was so good? Besides being a great boat to sail, and you could have a big crew and a little helm, or even vice versa. But in that boat, I would argue, I just had some of your foam off that. Well, that coffee was good.
Yeah.
You could argue that that was the most telegenic boat ever. The FD, the huge overlapping Genoa. When it tacked, it looked like there was a lot going on. The boat was the low freeboard. It was very close to the water, so it looked like it was even going faster than it was. And I mean, it went fast, but the 50 is the same. Why don't we sail boats like that in the Olympics?
Too old-fashioned.
I appreciate that we're time constrained here, so I'm trying to think of a short and succinct answer. But the reason we had the Flying Dutchman in the first place was because the IYRU, it was said it in the title, they were yacht racers, and with that big overlapping Genoa and that 20-foot hull, it looked like a little yacht. But I think it's most likely a close run, but dead heat between the 50 and the FD for being telegenic. But in terms of
Well, the Starboat was really telegenic as well. Starboat is a fabulously good-looking boat on TV because of that huge mainsail and the drop hiking and all the rest of it. But that boat's gone too because we want to go foiling.
Yeah, that must be the prettiest box I've seen since Christmas.
The Star. You don't like hard chine boats?
I love hard chine boats.
What'd you think of a double chine boat like the Fireball?
Fantastic.
That was.
I love the Fireball. I think it's fantastic. I sailed Fireballs, Tom, when you used to, before they had a trapeze, when you used to have to hike them out. No trapeze and no spinnaker.
Well, I didn't get into the class till we had both a trapeze and a spinnaker.
But
it's too much work to hike.
In answer to your question, the trouble is, the minute you put boats like the 505 or the Flying Dutchman into an Olympics, what you're doing is you're really limiting your medal prospects most likely to 7 or 8 countries, because you've got boats where you are hugely technical. It's about the hull, it's about the rig, and it just doesn't map on to the administrators of today who want to make the sport admissible to everybody. And their danger is that they're dumbing the sport down, and they're seeking the lowest common denominator.
Well, and of course, that's what the laser's for. Everybody can sail it. It's widely dispersed. Everybody can go to the laser class. But they are dumbing the sport down. And this whole foiling thing, yeah, I think the foiling's exciting. I think the IQ foil, the windsurfer, is much better than the old style windsurfer. But the majority of our sport is done by people like you and Julia and myself and a lot of the FOSI, maybe most of the FOSI on here, who sail boats like the 5.0, who sail dinghies.
Or the Fireball.
Or the Fireball. Or the Snipe or the Lightning, which are, and the Star and the J24 and the Melgus 24 and the Daring, for God's sakes, and boats like that. That's what most of the world sails. The H boat. We can go around the world and name them. There are, and what is the most telegenic class in the world? What is that? Julia, your favorite class, one of my mother's favorite classes. We just watched the JJ in that class. It's the Sydney Harbor 18.
Oh,
they're not a foiling boat. They're out on the racks. They got huge kites. I mean, they're fun. They look like they're launching. Fantastic stuff. Okay.
Well, I'll argue that point, because I'd say that the most telegenic boat is the Contender.
Well, did you write a book about the Contender as well?
Yeah, 10 years ago. In fact, there's supposed to be an update, because they haven't had their 50th Worlds. They've lost their last 2 Worlds through COVID, and they were going to have a 50th anniversary copy to bring them up to date. But now it looks like their first attempt at having a Worlds is going to be somewhere in Australia in January. They've missed the last couple of years.
That's a hard boat to sail. I sail the Contender a little bit, and so this is too hard. That boat's hard.
You've had some great sailors in fact from your neck of the woods as well.
That's right.
Mark
Ohio.
Starrett.
Yep. That's right.
Ethan Bixby.
Yep. Ethan Bixby also was a big 5.0 sailor. There's a lot of comments. People, Jay Rendell up in Scow Country up Minnesota, the E Scow is an amazing boat. Yes, it is, as is the A, as is the C. The Scows, have you ever sailed a Scow?
I have as well, unfortunately, for my sins, which are many.
Have you gone ice boating?
I've done land yachting, but not ice yachting.
You got to go do ice yachting, ice boating, whatever you want to call it. And as I say, our guest next, she's been on the show, but she's coming back on. She was so wildly popular. Erin Burry is coming on next Tuesday. But book yourself a ticket. When things settle down and sort out, go up to Scow Country, go see Jay Rendell or Blake Middleton or some of the gang up there, and do some scow sailing, and then also do some ice boating, some ice yachting.
I had a go in a Melgus. I thought it was fantastic.
Well, yeah, and that's you mean a Melgus 24?
The Scow, yes.
Oh, the Scow. Okay, so Bill Wingrove, who's down in Tampa, Florida. Hi, Bill. Another Tampa Bay top sailor taught me how to use running backstays. Pedro foiling sailor. My first fireball was Heidi 3083 in 67 when I was 17. I couldn't afford a 505. Put D-class ice boats into the Winter Olympics, Fog Machine is saying. Mark Husted, who's an Aussie living in Sweden, saying 505 boats fully pimped in serious racing aren't cheap. It's a hard class. It's similar to the OK dinghy. Yeah, true. Jonathan Frank, you know the boats that are challenging to sail provide a great sense of fulfillment when sailed well. And he's an airline captain pilot for United Airlines, and isn't that is the truth?
Yep.
Joyce Chiarella is checking in from Hawaii, wishing Julia a happy birthday. That's nice. Can I go to this video now?
Yeah, one last thing, Pedro. My boat was 3028. Yours was 3083. I had 3028.
5-0. When was the last time you raced?
That's a fireball.
Oh, a fireball. I'm trying. I had a 4,000 series fireballs, I think was my lowest number. Let me play this video. I want to do the setup. Help me, Dougal, help me set this up because this is a cool video, and I found it on YouTube this morning when we were preparing the show. I wanted something that showed the 505 in action. This is an award-winning. Can I have some more of that Irish coffee?
Yes.
An award-winning. What?
Where's mine?
Oh, you have to fix your own. I'm sorry.
Reach over.
We don't have a teleporting system yet, but maybe when Star Trek comes to Sailing Illustrated. That was good, Julia.
Yes. Want another one?
No, thank you. I wouldn't be able to click and clack here. But setting this up, I found this video. There was one with Kayard and some of the local guys sailing. I mean, seriously, famously good 5.0 sailors here, and he talks about this, and that was really a nice video. But it was in 480p, and that just, it's not acceptable. You got to have a high res. And then I looked at a couple of the others and found this video, which is in German. It's a German video, and it's an award-winning video in the Swiss. What's that called? The Swiss company that sponsors the photography. Somebody on here will remind us. And photography and the videography awards every fall at the Outracing Forum. And this video is in German, but it's got English subtitles, and it's showing what the class, the 505 class, but particularly the German 505 class, and you wonder why this class is so popular in Germany. This may be the reason. Have a look. Well, I got this. I forgot about this. One of the major challenges, okay, by way of setup further, one of the major challenges in sailing today, according to the German 505 class, is how to keep young sailors in the sport once their youth sailing experience has come to an end. The German 505 class seems to have found a way by offering regular open coaching sessions. John Emmett, pay attention here, which is what John does, in fact. By offering regular open coaching sessions and by maintaining a competitive 505 that is generously loaned to talented sailors who express interest in the class. The Lightning class does similar. A door is kept open for those who grow out of youth programs or end their Olympic careers. We spend a day at a coaching session and meet an ex-29er twins, this is this video, who opted against a 49er campaign, an ex-470 crack crew who admits she always had a crush on the 505, and two-time Olympic rower who enjoys crewing on a 5.0 as a transition from professional to leisure sport. Video also showcases that experienced and committed video producers like Yacht Film, which is a German company, can achieve single-handedly with only a cabin bag full of, whatever that didn't translate, of advancing video equipment. So now there's the setup. Now have a look at this video.
Das Training war im Wesentlichen einfach Up and Down mit einem 2-Minuten-Start. Dabei lag halt der Fokus darauf, dass wir halt auch durch den kurzen Kurs viele Tonnenmanöver hatten, viele Wenden.
Wir segeln 505er zusammen seit Beginn dieses Jahres.
Wir sind Zwillinge, wir segeln jetzt schon fast 10 Jahre zusammen.
Wir segeln 505er, da wir nach dem 29er uns dagegen entschieden haben, 49er zu segeln. Dann überlegt haben, was machen wir? Coole Bootsklasse, schnelles Boot, sehr technisch, sehr anspruchsvoll. Kann man lange segeln? Lass es uns doch mal ausprobieren.
Ich habe eigentlich die klassische Segellaufbahn durchlaufen, also mit 6 im Opti angefangen, ganz intensiv gesegelt, für 20er, für 70er, ganz lange Leistungssport und dann habe ich vor 10 Jahren aber damit aufgehört, hatte dann aber doch ein bisschen Sehnsucht nach Regattasegeln und Jollensegeln vor allem und hatte immer schon mit der Pfeife geliebäugelt. Wir haben es so gemacht, dass wir auch wussten, dass die Klassenvereinigung ein Schiff zur Verfügung stellt für Neueinsteiger, die mal schnuppern wollen, auch mal so regattaweise.
Ich habe als Kind angefangen zu rudern, habe dann irgendwann mal aufgehört, habe dann aber später wieder angefangen mit Rudern und dann mit dem Leistungssport erst recht. Habe das auch 12 Jahre lang betrieben. In einem Rudertrainingslager lag da mal so ein Laser rum und ich habe gedacht, ach, probierst du mal halt aus. Ja, und es hat so viel Spaß gemacht, dass ich gesagt habe, als ich die Ruderkarriere an den Nagel gehängt habe, ich muss unbedingt segeln. Ich segel jetzt die Segel-Bundesliga mit, aber ich würde es gerne halt einfach noch ein bisschen sportlicher machen. Und da ist die Pfeife halt perfekt. Die Trainings sind auf jeden Fall etwas, was die Klasse ausmacht, wo halt wirklich hochrangige Trainer oder Leute aus der Klasse versuchen, ihr Wissen weiterzugeben. Man kann viel lernen.
Wir haben auf jeden Fall die Heisen nochmal eine ganz neue Technik ausprobiert. Tura hat uns nochmal gezeigt, wie er es macht, wie man es auch nochmal schneller machen kann.
Das Gute an 505ern ist, man kann sehr alte Boote auch noch immer sehr schnell fahren. Es gibt viele alte Boote, die in sehr gutem Zustand sind, mit denen man auch noch auf der Weltmeisterschaft in die Top 10 fahren kann.
Great stuff. Fantastic video, don't you think?
Yep.
Fantastic. But what impression did you come away from that video with, Tom?
Well, what I said in the really in my extended setup, I'd forgotten I'd cut that little piece out. That the class is trying to attract cool, look at all the thumbs up we're getting, that the class is using innovative methods to attract new people, number one. Number two, there was the comment there near the end, and I never know whether to read the comments, the lower the captions or not, but those of you who, a lot of people just listen to the show, and I hope they came and watched and saw the subtitles. The other thing was that there's a lot of boats available, used boats available, which is the hallmark of a great class and great continued racing in a class. Yeah. One of the problems we've got. What was your takeaway?
How many of those, not just crews, how many of the helms were ladies?
Good point.
And we had an event recently, and 20% of the whole fleet were ladies. Female sailors. It's difficult because you don't want to be putting people into, you don't want to be putting labels on people. But this is a fleet where, we've already had ladies winning races. In fact, there was a great lady from over in California who won a race at the Worlds. She was the first lady helm to win a race at the Worlds.
Do you remember who that was?
Carol Buchan.
Oh, so she's
Carolyn Carl Buchan.
Yeah, well, they're sailing royalty in this country. I'm up in Seattle, and she's a great sailor. They sail tasers too, as well, and they're terrific sailors.
Hold on, she might be sad. She might be sailing. She won a race in the world.
Oh yeah, not exactly. Not to take anything away from her. That's terrific stuff. But the point is well taken. This class and other classes. I mean, it's an open sport. You ought to be able to sail the boat. Doesn't matter, front, back, whatever it is, and it's going to be probably easier for a smaller statured person to drive, but so what?
But the other point, and I mean, you really, really have to salute the efforts of the Germans, because the 5.0's really struggling a bit in the UK, but in Germany it's going from strength to strength, and they've been far-sighted. They're bringing young people in, and they've got some great sailors. Felix, I'm going to say this wrong, Felix Brockerhoff and Jan Philippe Hoffman. If I've said your names wrong, guys, I apologise. But I mean, they're out there, they're winning races, world championship level, and they've come up through the German 505 youth team. It's an example to other classes to how to plan for the future, to be celebrated.
Well said. Stingray up in Seattle saying that Seattle had a great fleet of 5.0s. The Germans had Hasso Plattner and SAP helping. They still do, I think. And Hasso, of course, is German. And SAP, a German company, is now down here. He's done a lot of work here supporting the class. I don't know that he sailed it much, but he's big boat sailing for sure. Replying to Stingray.
He prefers the smaller boat
Well,
to sail.
Yeah, I think he does, but I think he likes his big boats these days. He's got a couple of big, beautiful boats. A lady just won a national swimming championship in the USA. Fritz, that's another story we get into that is just, that we'll talk about that in a future show. And the impression, Jonathan Franks makes a good point. The impression I got was that although they were serious Germans, they were seriously having fun.
That's an important point.
Good point.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun to be had in the 5.0, as well as the racing. Your local, well, he is actually an Essex boy from the UK, but he's based in, I think he's based in the Bay. Mike Holt.
Mm-hmm.
When he wins, he likes to dance, and there's once a 5.0 sailor, always a 5.0 sailor, and it's because there's so much fun to be had afloat and ashore. It's a great class.
Well, the world champions train right here in the Bay Area. They're members of St. Xavier Yacht Club, Julia. Former Yachtsmen of the Year here in the U.S. and Mike Martin, and I'll remember the crew's name in a moment.
Adam Lowry.
Well done. Adam Lowry is a great big guy and a tech guy here in the Bay Area, and both of them are extremely bright, extremely nice, terrific representatives, diplomats, ambassadors for our sport. This is the last photo before we have a reprise of your cover of your book. Who is this?
Right. Now, this is really putting the cap on that German story, because the guy in the front has won more championships than I think I've had hot dinners. Because he is a seriously successful crew in the 5.05. He's won with multiple helmsmen as well, but he's there. He's sailing with a lady called Mika Schumacher, and now she's won the Europeans not just once, she's won it twice.
Wow.
Now that's seriously successful sailing in the last decade to win 2 European championships against the very, very strong Nordic boats, the Danes and the Swedes and all the other German boats. So this isn't a boat that you can't compromise with it. You've got to be seriously good to sail it, but you've got to be something special. And there's the proof. Ladies winning against the guys. And I think it's a great story to end the bit about the 5.05 and how accessible it is to everybody.
I think we'll let you host the show from now on. He just keeps the slides coming.
I know,
I could have
it's
another
good.
Irish coffee and the show proceed. I told you we'd keep you for only an hour, and it's been an hour and 18 minutes now. But let's go back. What a great summary of the class. But let's go back now to the cover of your book that's coming out, the third such book for 3 different classes. What were the other 2 classes?
The Contender and the Merlin Rocket.
And I have a feeling you might have another book in you yet, but your love for the 5.05 is quite clear. This is.
Can I say, Tom?
Please.
Because in that picture, the guys there, that's your local one of your local ace helmsmen. That is Mr. Holt out there on his way to another win, I think.
Well, it's a great photo, and Hasso will be happy with the sponsorship logo there in the front of the boat, up in the bow, and the book again. One last question before we let you go. This 5.05 logo, and I think the question got answered. Stingray asked, "Why is it the 5.05?" It's because it's 5.05 meters long, like the 470 is 4.7, and the 420 is the 4.2, and so on. But why is this 5.05 logo? Is that correct now? Is that it's a big O?
Right.
And the smaller 5s?
What you've got on the class flag there in the blue and gold, lovely to celebrate our support for Ukraine with the colours of the 5.05 flag.
Yep.
But in the top there, the funny little squiggle, that's a duckling.
This?
Yes, that's a caneton, which is your French for duckling. Underneath the triangle is the coronet.
Yep, the original.
And it shows the two parents. And what you've got there is the text, the 505 symbol. I've got John Westall's daughter, I believe, has been listening in tonight, who's been a fantastic supporter of the class and the book and everything else.
This is the daughter of the designer back in the early 50s.
Of the designer.
Yep.
And she's got John's original set of plans. And so he took it from 18 foot down to 16 foot, and he needed a name, and the boat was 5.05 meters long. So there you are, 505.
Great stuff. Sir, we're indebted to you for coming on, and to Karen Robertson for suggesting that we tee you up. It's been a very interesting hour and 20 minutes.
Thank you to you, Julia.
Yes, enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it very much. And can we get you back on again sometime soon?
You can indeed. It costs you an Irish coffee.
Well, if not in person, we'll have somebody send one. We'll get somebody to send one over to you in Southampton.
Tom and Julia, when the Worlds come to Santa Cruz, I'd even come in and do one in person with you.
That would be great. So Santa Cruz is next year. Is it 2023?
Yeah, so we've got Cork this year. It's going to be a fantastic one because, of course, it's the first Worlds for a couple of years. We lost. We were going to have a Worlds in Sweden, and that one was lost. A Worlds in the Caribbean, and that one was lost. So it's great that everybody can get to Ireland, and Cork always delivers a fantastic championship. It's a wonderful place to sail, and after that, we can start looking forward to coming to Santa Cruz.
Well, we shall look forward to that. We will buy you an Irish coffee, if not more, at the St. Francis Yacht Club when you come through here. And Julia will remind you that you should go back, all of us, but you should go back, Dougal, and look at the comments because we don't get to all of them. Gordon Smith, always great to hear from people who really know their subject. My thanks.
Absolutely.
Jay Rendell, Dougal is awesome, so fun to listen to and so enthusiastic. Jonathan Frank, outstanding. Thank you so very much, good sir. Janice F. Davis, my beloved mother. I will watch this program again. Maybe it's not just because it was so good. Maybe she took a snooze. She's closing in on 90, but she loves the show.
Oh no, I think
I think she's serious.
Yeah, this is her kind of boat.
Yeah, this is what she sailed on, a 16-foot boat when she won her national championship. Not quite as sporty as the 5.0. Dougal, thank you, sir. Thank you very much indeed.
And good night to 505 sailors and sailors any boats anywhere.
Okay.
Good night to all.
And to you, sir.
Thanks.
Take good care.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, Julia, that was a real delight.
Yes.
We're lucky. And again, Karen Robertson, thank you very much. As we'll proceed on now, we should have a little bit of a break for another one of those. You've consumed your whole cupcake.
I did.
You didn't see, but I did take to you on camera 3 at one point when you had it.
I saw it over
when
there.
You were going up to your mouth. Let's get to my favorite subject, other than Dougal's wonderful. And classes and people like that, just fantastic.
And Cork is very close to my heart. It's my first place I touched Europe.
In Ireland.
Yeah.
See, when we in North America, we hear Cork, we think of Canadian Olympic Regatta at Kingston.
Not me.
Which was the lead up to the 76 Olympics in Montreal, where the sailing Olympics were in Kingston, Ontario, in the northeast corner of Lake Ontario. Okay, let's get to the America's Cup. There is some news. This venue crotonicism continues, but we want to go to this, not just day in history, but this week in history. We talked about it on Tuesday, but since Tuesday, the Cup would have been won in 2021, a year ago this week, by the Kiwis. And let's have their look back, ETNZ's, Emirate Team New Zealand's look back on this week, 2021. Have a look.
Yeah, I think it's probably the most exciting boat launch that we've had here in New Zealand for a long, long time, because it's
G'day! And it's a big goodbye to Beaumont Street, our home for the last 3 years.
1 and 13. Well, it's just about the end of the old fuel bunker for us, and in fact I think it's going to be bowled in the next few months. and we move out of here into the new Viaduct Event Centre, or our new base.
So we've got ourselves a new yard, so we're going to start from scratch, and so within 2 months we're going to be ready to start building our first boat. We've started setting up for a plant. We've got a panel to start building all the ovens. We've got to start getting all the heating units in, machinery, etc. So the last few months have been based around securing contracts for all the gear inside it, and personnel is really the biggest thing.
Pretty brutal, pretty brutal. I mean, they're in pretty good shape when you think we've got 2 years to go. So I'm really happy. It's good, really giving it everything.
This is our sort of mini America's Cup within the campaign, because if we don't deliver this boat on time, then we've failed. So, there's a bit of pressure on us, but we're used to that. And
I name this yacht DI.
Long, hard slog for the next 18 months. That first day is a really, really big one.
The COVID-19 crisis has had a major impact on us and on all the competitors. A lot now will be about who deals with the crisis the best.
But we've got back into it now in level 3, the management of the team, and it's worked really hard to ensure we can get back into it and operate in a safe environment, and everyone here is taking it very seriously, but it's also at the same time important for us to get back on the water and continue developing.
It's an absolutely incredible feeling to come and see the boat, just popped out of the mole. You almost feel like almost like a NASA astronaut going and watching the space shuttle, get pulled out of its mold. It's sort of that same feeling as part of the sailing team. It's a boat you'll actually go out and defend the America's Cup on, so really special time.
So we've just launched Te Rehutai, our race boat that we're going to put on the start line March 6th next year. So much work's gone into this boat, many hours. Absolutely thrilled with tonight, but looking forward to getting it on the water now.
Definitely got a little bit too high in the jibe, and it stopped pretty quick. It's a pretty big load case on the boat when the bow hits. We wanted to do some checks, and but everything functionally was working pretty well on the boat. So we just towed on the foil on the way in, chatting on the way in there with the guys that that same kind of manoeuvre in the Cat in Bermuda, you'd be in hundreds of pieces, where it's full credit to the design of these boats that they're still in one piece.
The racing, it's been awesome to watch. They've had some tight racing. It's great to see all of them pushing for the wins, and for us it's just extra motivation to get out there and keep trying to get the most out of our boat and try and make our boat as quick as we can by the time the cup comes around.
Here we are, it's all about to kick off. It's been a long road to get to here. So many elements, so many people have put their life into this. Literally worked around the clock for 3 years.
It's going to be a huge week. There's a few nerves, a bit of tension in the air, but I think we're all pretty excited just to get out there and race and see these boats line up.
You put so much of your heart into it. You see how much everyone has put into it. And to have it come down to just a couple days and a couple races, it's scary, but it's exciting. Cool to see how it goes.
Now, I did not tee Stingray up to hit for his comment, although I should have. He says, Auckland looks beautiful in these shots, running and ducking. Boy, how good that did look. And bravo Zua to the Kiwis. It's a nice video, too. I really like that video. And until you've done one of these teams or you've done a high-level sports team, the camaraderie,
Mm-hmm.
the intensity, it's peaks and valleys. I mean, it is hard work for 4 years, as they showed, and to win it, it's a lot more fun than win, lose, or draw. It's more fun to be on a team than it is to run the event. I guarantee.
Of course.
I guarantee
yeah.
to you, right?
Yeah.
But we told you on Tuesday that was the turning point really in AC 36. ETNZ won both races. And this week in history, of course, they won AC 36. We told you the Team New Zealand retained the Cup that they'd won in 2017 in Bermuda, winning the best of 13 series by 7 races to 3 over the Italians. LRPP won 3 of the first 5 races, and then Kiwis figured out how to sail their boat fast, sort of like happened here in 13 in San Francisco, and they won 5 straight to keep the title. This was their 4th victory following earlier wins in 95 and 2000, as well as, of course, 17. The turning point came in that 8th race, which we celebrated on Tuesday, where New Zealand clawed back a 4-minute deficit in that flip-flop race and took a 5-3 lead and sailed on to win from there. The Prime Minister said, not too prophetically, if you believe what you read in the press in Spain, Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, commented that, quote, Team New Zealand has once again made us all so proud by retaining the America's Cup. We want to see it all over again in 2023. Yeah, well, or maybe 2024. Now, fast forward to a couple nights ago when TV New Zealand, News 1, recognized this one-year celebration of the Cup and also recognized, as several of you have in the comments, that this is the first time in the history of the Cup. Forget about deed of gift matches, 2010 and 1988 and 2010. The first time in the history of the Cup that a team has won it, and a year later, we still don't know the venue. It's never happened. But this was TV New Zealand's report on Wednesday night.
Exactly 1 year ago, the country was celebrating the successful defence of the America's Cup by Team New Zealand. Today, we still don't know where the next defence will be, with a decision due in a couple of weeks, if not before. So, is it Spain, Saudi Arabia, or is there still faint hope of another New Zealand-based campaign?
The old mug is Aotearoa's again.
This feels like a pandemic lifetime ago. Team New Zealand beating Luna Rossa March 17, 2021. It might now be several years before we witness a defence again, firsthand.
I think it's inevitable that a venue in Europe will be announced in a couple of weeks' time.
English Cup insider Wheatley believes Barcelona or Malaga in Spain are on the table with Middle Eastern backers.
It's a great phrase in the America's Cup, follow the money. If Team New Zealand does a deal in Spain, they're doing a deal with the Qataris. With the money that they're asking for, if they get it, they are the mightiest force in the America's Cup.
Some suggest Team NZ needs the big money to match Lingy, Prada and Ineos, and their key sponsors want the next Cup in Europe. Others poo-poo that idea.
The Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron needs to grow a pair and get serious about keeping the Cup in Auckland.
Some say they need the overseas money because it's more than the money we can get here. What's your take on that?
That's pure rubbish. It can be funded and probably more easily funded in New Zealand, frankly.
Long-time Cup executive Eamon believes Jeddah in Saudi Arabia has an open checkbook but can no longer be an option.
81 beheadings in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia over this past weekend? Come on. And God forbid this Cup that Mr. Dalton and the squadron go sign a deal with Jeddah, because that will be an unmitigated international disaster.
The clock is ticking towards a crucial decision for Team New Zealand's future, not to mention the near-barren Auckland waterfront. Yes, that's American magic packed up and ready to leave. Team NZ says it won't comment during the venue selection process.
If this goes offshore, the chances of it ever coming back are slim to none.
Mystery and money tangled up in the America's Cup? Now who would have picked that?
Now, why were you laughing? I turned our mics up and you were making a snide comment about it. I was kind of in the pink of life. I don't know what they did to the color balance down there when we recorded that. I mean, I look just like this here, and they tuned something up.
Yes.
What do you think, Julia? Where's it going to be?
I can't believe that it won't stay in Auckland, but I mean, there's so many traps if it doesn't.
Well, we'll see. Ted Ryman is saying, excellent vid. Auckland looks beautiful. We said that. People are saying, well said on TV there, Tom. Thanks, Stingray. People are saying, Louis, can we have a cup free?
I know.
A cup free Friday. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Well, thank you to Andrew Seville, who's I think he's the sports director at TVNZ and One News for that. Let's go now to Malaga, a beautiful town there. And in an article today in Diario Sur, in their English language version, this thanks again to Stingray, who helped send this stuff, forwards this stuff to us. Malaga takes a new step in its attempt to celebrate the America Sailing Cup. The City Council has approved today an agreement that regulates what each administration and the organizers of the event have to do, although the rest of the interested parties still need to sign it. The board is asked to contribute 35 million euros, the government around 30 million for works in the port, and the City Council and the Provincial Council 5 million each, apart from another 30 million from private sponsors. Now, this venue deal is supposed to be signed and announced here in the next 2 weeks, by the 31st, less than 2 weeks. And I just don't see how it's going to happen in Malaga. But tell me, I'd love it to be there. I think Malaga is maybe the best option of whatever we hear other than Auckland. The Malaga City Council, the article goes on to say, the only one that has signed the agreement for now, although the board, that is of the local entities, although the board, the Provincial Council, and the board have already publicly shown their unwavering support, undertakes to create a technical group that will allow the consortium to start up. That is to say, organize all the bureaucratic part. Look at this sentence. He, the mayor, has been trying for weeks to get a consultant to develop these works, but for now he has not found any valid one, and he also agrees, the city agrees to put in 5 million euros.
I just don't see it happening that quickly.
It's not going to happen that quickly. Simply is not going to happen. And we got all sorts of comments on here about Jeddah and otherwise, so I'm going to skip through that. That was Ignacio Lilio writing in Diario Sur, the newspaper south.es on their website today. In fact, that article. Now, Daltz has been over there, as you know. We reported, last Friday and again Tuesday, that Grant has been there in the center. He's been in Europe, and he was in London, and he's been in Malaga, and now he is in Barcelona. From an article today in La Vanguardia in Barcelona, and the headline in English, Barcelona seduces the leaders of the America's Sailing Cup. Barcelona's candidacy is gaining ground, the newspaper asserts. The possibility of the city hosting the America's Cup of Sailing in 2024 took a giant step yesterday, meaning Thursday, yesterday, literally. This article came out today. With a visit to the city of Grant Dalton, CEO of Emirates Team New Zealand and America's Cup Events Limited, the company that managed the contest. The director of the port, Damia Calvet, led the delegation that showed Grant and his entire team in situ in the morning the scenarios that will be able to host the 37th edition of this competition, the Formula One of the Sea. Grant Dalton arrived in Barcelona from London. Traveling with him, among others, were Stuart Hossyard, CEO of the Origin Sports Agency, that's Sir Keith's agency, the British company that is monitoring potential venues, Sir Keith Mills, and other members of the Emirates team. The head of the New Zealand team already knew the main axes of Barcelona's bid, which competes with other proposals such as Malaga, Cork, Ireland, and Saudi Arabia. The organizer, in this case, the Emirates Team New Zealand, no mention of the Royal New Zealand Yacht Squadron, of course, which was the winning team of the previous edition, is the one who decides the dates for the next one. That's strictly speaking not true either.
No.
At the moment, the possibility of September or October 2024. Now, that was news. That was the first time I've heard September or October 2024 mentioned, but no surprise, because we've been telling you we don't see how this is ever going to happen anywhere in the early part of 2024. But those dates are being studied. The teams Ineos, Alinghi, Luna Rossa, and American Magic do not want to compete for security reasons in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia. They can be in the chosen venue 12 months. This is a Google Trans, obviously, but they have to be in the venue. They can be, under the protocol, in the venue 12 months before the Cup. So this venue not only has to be ready in October, or tell me when, 2024, it really has to be ready a year in advance of that, which is less than a year from now, unless they're going to push it off to that. I do not see how any New Zealand supporter could approve of Daltz selling the event to the highest bidder. Fritz Mueller, only the driver's powers that can control the eventual dollars. After all, challengers have to pay to play. Fog Machine up above saying finding a non-sports washing venue willing dollars to host the Winter Olympics has also become very difficult. These events are too expensive and too intrusive for the host cities. Just ask the city of Boston. Ed Worley, the budgets for teams and the venue is becoming obscene. Cut the pork of hydrogen-powered boats, and where do you get? Janice Davis, don't link yacht racing with Formula One. Why not? I mean, it is an obscenity, really. It's Julie, what's the word I want? It is presumptuous of us to say, and I'm probably the one that started because I used to say this as well. There's three big sporting events. There's the Olympics, there's World Cup soccer, and there's the America's Cup. Strictly speaking, that's just simply not true. The Super Bowl and lots of other events, World Rugby Cup and others, are as big or bigger than the America's Cup in many respects. So that's La Vanguardia in Barcelona today, and there's some pictures here. Thank you, Stingray. You see, those of you who know Barcelona, you see the aquarium there in the top of that picture, right up here?
Mm-hmm.
It's in this harbor that they're talking about converting for an America's Cup harbor. And that's the actual corner of the harbor, apparently, where they are saying they will run it. One of the problems in Barcelona is that it is arguably less windy than Valencia. And you remember how many weeks and days we spent sitting on our hands in Valencia waiting for the breeze to reliably blow. So this is not an ideal spot. You want to go back to Auckland where it's reliably windy and iconically beautiful. Hi from Newport Beach, Bobby Steele. Hi, Bob. If New Zealand ever needed a booster shot, it is to keep the cup in the best venue in the world, Auckland's Hauraki Gulf. Bobby, of course, is a Kiwi, and he's not only biased, but he's also one of the brightest people in our sport. Julie Aaron saying, if I were at liberty to talk, I still couldn't. It is up to Grant Dalton and their board. Yes, it is, Julie. It's up to the RNZ, not to Grant Dalton and his board. Grant keeps everything to himself. He and Ineos are in constant touch. Yes, everybody must be patient. It's not your Monet. So don't worry. Clever turn of words there, Julie. Happy birthday, Julia, Bobby Steele saying, and Fritz Mueller saying Costa Brava has either no wind or Tramontana. Yeah, or too much wind. Look, there are a lot of rumors circulating around, and I'm not going to go into them today. As you all know, I firmly believe it can and should be in Auckland, that sooner or later they will come to grips with that. God forbid, as I said in that hit with TV New Zealand with News One, that it goes to Jeddah. I'm told by Magnus, I'm told by Julie Aarons that it's not going to Jeddah. It will not go to Jeddah. They assure me both. I hope they're right, because if it does, American Magic is not going. I hear reliably now that Luna Rossa is not going, and I also hear reliably that Alinghi is not going to go if it's in Jeddah. Moreover, it will result in court cases, both now I hear, one hears, in New York as well as in New Zealand, and this thing will once again spiral down the legal gurgler.
Talk about waste of money.
And it's not correct. Rich Fishback is wishing you a happy birthday, Julia.
Oh, nice. Thanks.
So, Gordon Smith, I'm happy to see where the AC has sailed. I think the whole future is very exciting. Yes, he does, and that's great. And apropos of that, I'd like to run this video from, get off the venue thing, okay? Put the venue thing behind us until next Tuesday anyway. Have a look at this very cool video from Ineos Britannia.
You've got to come together and create a document that's going to govern the event for the next iteration. Yeah, I think the relationship between Team New Zealand and ourselves during this process has remained strong. We're both working together to try and create a truly spectacular event. I think keeping the AC75 for this next iteration of the Cup is exciting. The developments from here are going to be truly performance-based. The boats will end up being quicker, more efficient. They're very expensive yachts to design and manufacture. They're all high-end materials, which inevitably cost a lot of money. All the systems are very expensive, so restricting people to only do one boat. Knowing that there's second-hand boats in the market that a team can pick up and get in the water and get their heads around, what an AC75 consists of in terms of support operations, just learning how to sail the boats. So that's an opportunity for a new team to come in and get started straight away while they design and build their only new boat in the background. The existing teams can only sail their old boats after September 2022, whereas there's a window of opportunity for a new team to get 20 days of accumulated sailing between June and September. So it gives them a little leg up to try and get them on the same level playing field as teams that are already in place. So the hydrogen support vessel at the America's Cup is an opportunity for us to develop and push ideas which may not be achievable in the commercial market. We are required to use vessels that are powered by hydrogen fuel source. These would be foiling boats, but it's a bit of a challenge because obviously this is new technology in the marine industry. There's some technology in the automotive world obviously, but trying to combine that with where we are and the speeds we're trying to achieve is a very big challenge. But that's what being in the America's Cup is about, is ambitious design projects and executing them. Between now and the America's Cup in 2024, there's several periods where teams are restricted from sailing in AC75. And what's that trying to do is equalise the balance between teams in the Northern Hemisphere and teams in the Southern Hemisphere. And when those teams might need to be shipping their boats, the no sailing periods really just sort of evens out the options for teams so that a Northern Hemisphere team doesn't get far ahead of a Southern Hemisphere team in terms of time on the water. It's really just to try and level the playing field across the board. So 2022 is going to be a year of building the operations group. We're going to build our group again because we've been focusing pretty much on the technical group and getting that group up and running with this, new tool sets. And, we're going to learn more about the venue and the timing. So that'll help us plan for sort of 23 and 24 beyond. Ideally 2022, by the end of that year, we'll have, I'd say 90% of the team will be brought together. So that's sailing, operations, technical group, and we'll be fully fledged outfit operating in a sailing venue somewhere and getting back on the water where we all want to be.
I think Ineos are putting out the best videos. Another one. Now that's their COO. Is that Richard Endine? David Indy. I think it's. I knew the dad, and I don't know. I don't know the son all that well. I've met him before, but David. But a nice video and very well articulated. The class rule has come out, by the way. The class rule has come out this week.
Oh yeah.
And they're saying, oh, now we can get down to designing. Well, Team New Zealand's been designing since, they wrote the rule along with Ineos. Those two teams got a huge head start over the other teams. So we'll see. Just like Luna Rossa had a huge head start last time as the challenger record over the others. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how that all pans out. Why does hydrogen chase boat remind me of the AMC Pacer? Jonathan, we'll let Clark Chapin handle that one. Yeah. Ed Worley, limiting on the water sailing days for the teams is croutonnic. I agree. They're trying to cut costs, hold costs down, and force people into the simulators, but it only helps the challenger and of record and the defender. If Ineos holds ETNZ's feet to the fire on 2024, it will come down to either Ineos versus ETNZ in Jeddah or else 5 teams racing in Auckland, Stingray predicts.
That could be.
Could well be. Replying to Julie Aarons, Ed Worley is saying the Cup does not belong to TNZ. They are only a caretaker and have responsibilities to the sailing community at large for how the event is run. The RNZ is involved, Julie Aarons says. They don't want any communication with KHD. I don't, Julie, you keep telling me that privately, and I don't understand why that's the case. I still think that when push comes to shove, this thing's going to be in Auckland. It should be in Auckland, and it may end up after court stuff and everything else in Jeddah, and it may end up being a one-on-one match, which is what I said 2 years ago, or a year ago, I guess I said that. And I could be right for the wrong reason, but we'll see. I just hope it does not go to court. I've been in that movie twice. I hope calmer heads, somehow they can do a deal in Auckland, get it down there. I still fervently hope that, but I also truly believe that's what will happen. Julie, anything else on that topic before we leave?
I don't think so.
I do not have a corrector croutonnic because I was going to put something in here about the war. And I can't deal with the war. We've seen enough of the war, haven't we? We have. And it's a sad thing, and we'll mention it at the bottom of the show here, but decided not to put it in. However, good news coming next weekend here to San Francisco, the final regatta for Sail GP, and a nice video just out.
Yes.
It's the final event of the Sail GP season. It's all or nothing in San Francisco.
The big dogs in the prize fight.
With their eyes on the prize in the winner-takes-all final race.
Spitting on board the USA, perfection.
8 teams going head-to-head in all-out action. Join us for the Mubadala United States Sail Grand Prix.
Now, this is going to make the America's Cup look even sillier yet still, right, Julia?
Yes.
I mean, look at what's going on here in San Francisco. This is what it looked like, well, last time I was here, which is what, pre-pandemic. And this is the area on the what we call the peninsula between the two yacht clubs. That's St. Francis there to the left. You can see the VIP center there. Up here in the very corner, that's the tent where the Russell and Co. set up for the VIPs. Obviously, the starting area is there. They come reaching across to the first turning mark, and Golden Gate Yacht Club is just down here to the right. And Julia, as you will know, it is a complete and utter mess over there right now. You can't park on either side of St. Francis Yacht Club. Rob Sternstein asking, are we going to do anything special for the interlopers that are coming out there? Yes, I know Rob's coming. In fact, I know where he's staying. And anyone else, the Fozy who are coming here, let us know, because we are, if nothing else, we'll have you over to St. Francis for a cocktail.
Right.
If not Beach Street. We'll see how that's all going. Trying to do I even thought about doing a live show, Julia, with the Fozy.
It'd be fun.
A live studio audience, and moving out to Studio A here and doing that. But that's a lot of work.
Well, that's
where
all
are
right.
those things coming from? Is that from your phone or mine? Or
It's mine.
I thought we turned it off.
It's
not your boyfriend's. It's people wishing, it's these fancy messenger services. It's okay. Julie's got so many boyfriends now, wishing her happy birthday.
Would that be true?
We are going to go for a nice dinner tonight. So that is the area. That's the punter area where you can buy a ticket and watch. You can watch at either yacht club and the. Oh, you know what?
Yes, you threw it.
You want to explain that?
Yes.
I got to explain it. Hear that noise? I threw Julia's phone back on the bed. It's got this fall notification that if her phone drops or her watch drops, it calls certain people and saying, did Julia just fall? And that's what that noise is.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn your mic off for a sec while you fix that. Oh, there's the alarm. And it'll call me. It'll call Mario Schumann. It'll call 911. But let's get back to Sail GP. It's this coming, not Friday, coming Saturday and Sunday, a week from tomorrow and Sunday, the Mubadala U.S. Sail GP, San Francisco. The sights and not so much the sounds here, but that's just after the start as the boat's coming at you here on what we call the Yacht Club Peninsula. Now I got a text that says, did Julia fall? And that is the turning mark, Mark 1, right out here in front of us. We'll be in the Yacht Club in the grill room watching, won't we, Julia?
Yes.
I'll turn your mic back up now that you've shut that off. Sorry, I threw your phone on them here threw it down in the studio.
Yeah.
What great scenery this is. It is reliably windy. Hopefully it is in March. It's David James when he was on the show. It can be light as well, but it's obviously it's iconically beautiful. And just to show you the features here, this is, we're getting all sorts of notifications there. This is St. Francis Yacht Club over here on the peninsula, Sail GP Village, down here, Golden Gate Yacht Club. Oh, I better go to camera 4. Boy, that was a good Irish coffee. So you've got the yacht club and you've got the village here, and then the race course where the start is over towards Sausalito. They come right across because the wind's blowing from left to right from the bridge, and they turn this, what they call the speed mark, or the high speed mark, go downwind through a gate, down Alcatraz's over here, back upwind, back downwind, back upwind, turn that speed mark again, and then finish right here off the Village. Again, St. Francis Yacht Club here, Golden Gate Yacht Club there, and this is public viewing along here. There's some seated grandstand viewing here in the village. but it's a great setup.
But you can really see what's going on from any place along the shore.
Indeed, indeed, and it'll be a great event. The views will be fabulous. There's Alcatraz, looking to the northeast from the village. And here's a nice video. I'm not going to play.
He looks so serious.
He does. I'm not going to play the whole thing, but play at least the first 3 minutes of this video. Just came out.
Nah, not doing one-liners. Give them to Tom and Nathan.
Well, it always happens, and then I'll come off as the cocky.
What's the strategy?
If I told you, I'd have to kill you.
One grand final, one race. The other wins don't matter at this point. This one race is what counts.
Jimmy Spithill is already saying that the final is Australia's to lose.
I would say it's the Australians to lose.
That's purely Jimmy trying to get under our skin.
He's the favourite.
The wind is a little bit lighter. Nathan Outridge has an advantage over us.
Jimmy's just a very aggressive sailor. But I also feel Jimmy's very predictable.
I mean, you can say whatever you want, but I can tell you right now, the only thing people will remember from season 2 in Sail GP is who won the final race.
Okay, this goes on. I'm going to let it go here for a second by way of introduction. Enjoy this. I won't play the whole 20 minutes, though. These are other venues as well.
The Sail GP format's really simple. You've got incredibly fast boats, but they're all equal. And they race 5 races at each event, and then the top 3 teams go through to a final. And then the top 3 teams from the points of all of those events go forward and race a 15-minute grand final. It's for $1 million, and it's winner take all.
Wow, that's it. That's 3 teams now qualified for the grand final in San Francisco. Australia, USA, and Japan are going to battle it out for $1 million.
Well, Stevie, not quite. Yes, Australia and USA are mathematically in the final. Japan is pretty much there too, but the numbers are not quite there yet. However, something extremely unlikely would have to happen in the next Grand Prix for them not to be in the grand final.
Absolutely right, Todd. I just can't wait to see it. It's going to be Nathan Outridge, Tom Slingsby, Jimmy Spithill. They're going to be in San Francisco. It should be box office.
It's going to be box office. Okay, well, we'll let that roll. But that, again, I think Russell's explanation was perfect. And it is a good, simple format.
Yes.
3 boats and a winner-take-all. And we've got 3 of arguably the best sailors on the planet that are going to be there. You know, a couple of minor things could happen. Highly unlikely that one of those 3. I guess mathematically, Jimmy is there, as well as Tommy, and Nathan is almost certainly there representing the Japanese. This is going to be fantastic.
It will be.
Are we doing a Sail GP watch party, Tom? No, I don't think so. Peter, I think you can watch it on your own, use your own devices to watch it. I don't know how the TV is working out in the various localities around the world. We're going to be, I guess, over at the Yacht Club. I haven't really put a lot of thought into it yet, as you can tell, but we'll figure something out. He's still with us.
Yeah.
Dougal is still with us.
I do.
I don't know what we're going to do as far as, but I got a couple plans. I'm working on it. I'll get through today's show and then start to work on next. Well, after Tuesday. Tuesday's going to be fun too because we got Aaron Burry coming on, and that's going to be a lot of fun as well. Great preview of GP. I may be there. Hope you are, Bobby Steele. Come on up. Let us know. Mary Longpree, great preview. Yep, I may be there. Good. Well, I was just reading Bobby Steele. Top 3 skippers, all Australians. Yay! Yeah, that's strange. What's your plans for her day? Well, we're going to go to dinner tonight. That's the plan for today. Okay, enough of that video. I think we'll move on to a Bravo Zulu. And this also is deserving of good attention from, again, well, have a look at this video. It's really cool.
I'm Henry Woodhouse. I'm part of the shore crew for Great Britain's Sail GP team. Started sailing at an early age on classic working boats down in Falmouth, all to do with my dad. Used to join him on racing weekends. After that, then went on to Oppies and actually sailed in the same club as Ben Ainsley. And I was an Optimist and he was actually going into Laters in Restrongot Sailing Club down in Cornwall. I got involved in the military at an early age. I was 18 when I first joined. Following my dad's footsteps, he died when I was young and he was in the military. Something that I wanted to do, and at 18 I went for it. Basically made me, I'd say. Made me who the man I am today. Taught me discipline, taught me respectfulness. Commando spirit is one thing that shines through. My role within the team, I'm the safety swimmer and also I'm the team mechanic. So as a safety swimmer, basically I'm in charge of the safety parts of the boat for the sailors themselves and on the platform itself, whether it be the knife, whether it be the spare air. Also, if there's any capsizing that happens, I'll be the one deployed onto the boat to attach the lines, make sure primarily that the sailors are okay and no injuries. Once we have a head count and they're good, then it's into getting the boat safe. As a mechanic, I basically am in charge of the hydrofoil systems and bearings, you know, because obviously the hydrofoils, when they go up and down, there's lots of parts that are moving, they need to be serviced and maintained. The rudders, the steering systems. In the day-to-day role, STEM is quite a massive part in these boats. With the science, how they work, you know, there's no other boats that work like this, with the programming, the computer software, the interfaces, all then combines with the human part of it. Maths, you know, you've got to make sure you have the right amount of bearings in the right amount of places. And engineering, again, you know, that's a big part of my role, to making sure everything's working correctly. I think I could sum up my career pathway by saying that, you know, some people say that you need luck to get to the place that you need to get, but I think that's rubbish. I think that luck is when you get preparation that meets opportunity. You make your own luck. If you work hard at things and you really have a goal in your mind, don't let people talk you down. No matter what you can do, you can achieve. Stay focused on your goal and keep working hard at it.
I think that is a fabulous video, and
Yes.
it sailed, Ineos Britannia, as I look over here at camera 2, that was a good Irish coffee.
I know.
If I ever go to war, I want that guy with me.
Yes.
I'll follow him. This guy, it's people like that that just make the world. What a fantastic video, especially with what's going on in Ukraine and so on.
Yes.
But more than that, Julie, the guy just exudes confidence, but not overconfident.
Right.
He's doing a really important role, and for Ineos to feature him, bravo salute to them. And if Ineos sails half as well as their video production, they're going to win not only Sail GP next year, but they'll win the America's Cup too, because it's just, they're doing a great job. Bravo, congratulations. So our last couple slides here for Sail GP next weekend in San Francisco, featuring that, promoting it. This is from another venue, but it's I guess that is, where is that? Spain?
I don't
Monica Diaz will know if that's Cadiz or where it was. Windy venue where the Brits capsizes windmills in the background. So maybe that's up in, I don't know. Mubadala, the United States Sail Grand Prix San Francisco is next Saturday and Sunday, not Friday, Saturday, like so many of these events have been. And as Stingray says, isn't it? It's awesome. We know where they'll be racing.
Yes.
In fact, we're going to tell you where they're going to be racing next year as well. Next Saturday and Sunday, race times here, 1400 local both days. The race village opening a couple hours before that, and it should be a cool event, and it will then very quickly roll into 2023. Sail GP Season 3 calendar has expanded into 2023 with the announcement of 2 further events, including fan favorite destination. San Francisco has been confirmed for next season, actually 2024. Well, no, for 2023, and a debut trip to Christchurch.
Oh.
You know, and they announced Christchurch before, but then that didn't happen because of COVID. So for the purpose-led global championship, the 10 teams competing in season 3, that's next season, 2022/2023. So we're coming back here in 23. New franchisees, Canada and Switzerland, and returning nations, Australia, Denmark, France, Great Britain, Japan, New Zealand, Spain, and the United States, you all know this, will now be contesting at least 9 events in an impressive array of, they're using our word, Julia, iconic global destinations.
Yes.
And for once, I'm swiping to the left to wipe off one of those graphics. First race, as you can see here, it's a little bluer on this one. First race is in BDA in Bermuda, then Chicago, and then Plymouth, England, July, this coming July, then Copenhagen 4, then Saint-Tropez in France is the 5th, and then Cadiz in Spain is the 6th. Then they're going to Dubai. I don't think they've raced in Dubai before, have they?
Don't
7,
remember.
and that's in November when it's cooler. And then an 8th event, TBD, to be announced, TBA, to be announced. And I wonder if they're putting it down here because they think it's going to be in South America. Carlos Aviz and
maybe
others. Then the 9th in Christchurch. And then finally from Christchurch, they're going to come up back to San Francisco in May next year, May of 2023, for that final grand finale again here in
That's
San
a
Francisco.
terrific lot.
Yeah, great job that Larry and Russell have done and the rest of the team involved with SailGP, and we're looking forward to having them here
Absolutely.
in a week's time.
Wow.
Other comments? Stingray, I'm committed next weekend, but may fly down for the day on Friday. Okay, let's be practice day. Julie Aarons, I'd love to. There's no place to stay, and the airfare is not a bar. Yeah, airfares have become expensive. Rob Sternstein, I'll be in SF all week from Tuesday. So, again, any of you who is coming, let us know, and we'll try to at least hook up for a drink, if not more, depending upon what I'm able to put together in the meantime. That brings us to the D block, Julia.
Yes.
Get your finger ready, because we had to exercise your finger on your birthday. Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. And this came from one of our Fozy. We have both a kind of a car and a gas thing going on here as themes today. $50 and I'll do anything you want, she says. How good are you at siphoning gas? It's a little double entendre there.
Yes.
I mean, okay. But you think that's okay? Even on your birthday?
Oh yes, I'll
You'll allow it?
I'll let that pass.
Okay, well, that was one. That's thanks to John Sengmeister, believe it or not, our Fozy down in Long Beach. Speaking of cars and gas, are you sweating whilst putting petrol in your car, feeling sick when paying for it? You have got the car owner virus. That came from Pedro, Peter Stevenson down in Australia.
That's good.
That was good. You got the car owner. By a lot of people have got this bloody COVID. I've talked to people, so I hope you're all not serious. There's a couple people who've got some serious cases. I'm hearing about it. Speaking of cars, I don't know why I put this in here, but Peter Stevenson sent it. And enjoy maximum legroom in the new Pontiac Star Chief. Spread your legs. Is that Crutonic?
Yes.
It is. Peter Stevenson sent that one as well, Julia. But now we get cleaner. We transition to music. It's been a strange day. First, I found a hat full of money. Then I was chased by an angry man with a guitar. Get it?
No.
Somebody street musician was playing.
Yeah.
A busker, and his hat was on her hat was on the street, and somebody took the hat full of money. I thought that was apropos the top of the show when we played the banjo uke for you.
Yeah.
For your birthday. That's another one from Stingray. Thank you, Stingray. And apropos music, just to wrap up this whole awful war thing. Munitions. I ordered a shipment of munitions. It sounds like the Russian army. And he got musicians. I wish they had gotten musicians. Sounds like it's really gone to hell over there.
Oh, that just makes me ill.
Hours. It's awful. Okay, thanks. I think Clark Chapin sent that sometime ago. His wife's a musician. Clark is very fond of.
Oh.
I just put that in. That's a caption contest. The rest of the world loves the dog, I guess. I couldn't help it, Julia.
I know.
Huh?
I know.
Could not help it. Caption contest, we don't need to have a caption contest for that. But we do want to express our solidarity for the folks in Ukraine. It's a bad, ugly situation, needless to say. And I hope your yacht club, as Yerky Yarby suggested, I guess each day, send us a picture, because I'm hearing more and more clubs are doing it, but I'm not getting more and more pictures of clubs that are displaying the General Recall flag in solidarity with our Ukrainian brothers and sisters, especially the sailors. Putin's piss steak. My sister in the UK just caught the bloody COVID. Fortunately, she is vaccinated. Yeah, Sternstein's laughing anyway. Is your club displaying the first repeater? We hope they are. And we hope you enjoyed today's show. We're to the finish line. Thanks again to Dougal for what was a terrific segment. Really appreciate it. Jody Shields, he's got great guests coming up soon on his podcast, available on Spotify and Apple Play. And that is that's an audio podcast. And I've listened to the one he did with the first or second session he did with. Did you not? I thought
Takahashi.
Leo, exactly.
Yeah.
I thought you knew that. I thought you.
Yeah.
Happy birthday, Julia. Thanks, everyone, including the amazing guest today, Dougal. He was amazing. That's for sure the case.
Thanks, Stingray and us.
Yep, and everybody else. Julia?
Yes, there's so much exciting happening. You must like, follow, and share.
Well, it should be a birthday present to you.
Yeah.
To like, follow, and share. Comments are welcome, too, even in replay. And, of course, we hope you will support us on Patreon, as Fritz Mueller has done, and many others of you as well. It helps us keep the show on the road, although keeps us docked out. I think that's where it's time to dock out.
Dock out.
Let's dock out instead of show on the road, right?
Yeah.
Lots of thumbs up, hearts. Thank you very much. Just a further reminder, when you are going on and off daylight time in your countries, we're on daylight time now, but we will always go to air at 2000 UTC year around, which now is an hour later than it had been. Tuesday, delighted to have with us, as we told you at the top of the show, Erin Burry will be in Montana, and she will be on live at the Hard Water Summit, the first time they've ever done this, and we're delighted to have her back as our guest. This brings us to the second to final slide, the penultimate, Julia.
Yes.
Anything else?
No, I think we should try to enjoy every day, and while we pay attention to what's happening in this world, not get bogged down totally with
Well,
it.
especially as my mother says, and you say, you can't get bogged down about stuff about which you cannot do anything.
No, it's very trying and wearing on all of us, I think, but
it is. Jody Shields saying, have a cracker, everyone, a cracker of a day, have a cracker of a weekend. We hope all of you can have a great weekend with the ones you love. We'll see you on Tuesday. In the meantime, as always, sail fast, sail safe, and have fun. Ciao for now.